Hey, what's up, everybody? Tricky Guy Podcast. It's your host, Brent Bilski, a.k.a. Double B. What is going on today? Yeah. So excited, just can't hide it. It's 420.
I love weed, okay? I love it.
Little story on that later, but let's just delve right into the meat of today. We are continuing the NBA playoffs.
Playoffs?
Yes.
Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
And I'm going to really focus on a couple stories here and bring you maybe a little bit of things that are being missed or not being discussed in all of this discussion in NBA playoffs. There are really, the whole first round is boiled down to me to two stories. And if you look around, first of all, the Eastern Conference, there's nothing. It's fine. All the big three in the Eastern Conference are good. Milwaukee, even with Giannis hurt, they're fine. They just came back to even their series 1-1 versus Miami. Philadelphia, Boston's up 2-0. Everyone in the East is fine. Western Conference, Denver's already up a couple on Minnesota, which, I mean, okay, you're supposed to. They're,
Oh, good for you.
First seed versus a struggling 8 that can't do anything offensively. You have Phoenix and the Clippers, and there is some interesting things going on there, but that's not really the meat. The meat of today and the story of the first round, to me, are the twofold stories in the Western Conference, where you have the LA Lakers and Memphis Grizzlies now tied at 1-1, and Dillon Brooks talking some outlandish mess, even with John Morant out with a hand injury. Big story there. And the other one being Golden State playing tonight, down 0-2 to the Sacramento Kings. They're going to have me do something that I just don't do. They're going to have me defend two guys, two Hall of Famers that I'm not usually a fan of, Draymond Green and LeBron James.
Here we go again.
I mean, anyone who's listened to me knows I am,
I hate.
Hate's a strong word. Never been a big fan of either of those personalities or some of the things they do off the court. This first round and the stories I'm going to give you here got me rooting for them. I am suddenly rooting for two people that I never root for. So let's just hop into the first story here, the LeBron-Dillon Brooks thing, and there's a whole point I want to make there that we will discuss. But let me get into the fact that, for one, Draymond Green being suspended tonight, I think Domantas Sabonis, who I've also nicknamed Demonic Sabonis,
all right, you got me. That's an awesome nickname.
earned every second of that bruised chest that he has, where he is questionable for Game 3 tonight. I'll explain a little bit here, and I'll just keep it 100 with you. I think Demonic earned every bit of that bruised sternum that Draymond gave him with that stomp he did. And I don't really blame Draymond this time.
Look at me, son. It's not your fault.
I really don't think Draymond did anything that wrong, all the way down from how the play, was, as far as what exactly happened there, with everyone seeing the video now, Domantas grabbing the leg and doing all of that. But besides that, he earned that chest contusion. I am sorry. Sabonis, look, I will say that the Sacramento Kings and head coach by Mike Brown have done a phenomenal, and I will repeat, phenomenal job of doing exactly what you should do against the Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors are a finesse team. They like to shoot. They like to get out and run. I don't think I'm saying anything that's a little too much of a surprise there. A lot of this comes from the University of Duh. But you would think that other teams would understand. So what you do is you foul them, you beat them up, you pound them inside, you ugly ball it up. And having a former coach in Mike Brown that has been there through the thick and thin of it, they have got their number and have done exactly what they needed to do in Sacramento to get up 2-0. But this idea that I'm supposed to feel sorry for Sabonis in any way, shape, or form, I'm sorry, is just an absolute, I don't know what you want.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Did y'all watch the games? If you honestly watch the games, and I don't know how everyone missed all this topic here of just the way he was playing, he was literally cruising for a bruising. You know the phrase, cruising for a bruising? Domantas had been cruising for that bruising from the minute he set foot, especially in Game 2. I had to go out of my way to find some of this clips here that I'm about to bring you. Some of this stuff that I had to bring you is only because of my own research and my own deciding to do things, because I didn't see any of the analysts talking about it. So almost everyone knows. I mean, should I even have to replay the video of Draymond and the stomp famously that happened that got Draymond suspended for Game 3 in case you missed it?
What a shot! And with stomps in the corner. Oh, and then the chest as well.
All right, that wasn't actually the actual video. That was WWE 2K and the internet being undefeated.
It's still real to me, damn it!
Did a video of Draymond Green. If you ever played 2K, you can create your own characters. They had Draymond doing the Stone Cold Steve Austin stomps on Draymond, doing it to Domantas Sabonis.
What a shot!
What?
In the corner. Oh,
doing
the
middle
chest as well.
And the coup de grace Finn Balor finishing move, in case you're a wrestling fan.
It's still real to me, damn it!
Okay, jokes aside, let me actually get into it, dudes. Again, Sabonis earned this. If you watch the game, he was a psychotic bull in a china shop the entire time, and I'll just give you a couple. I mean, first of all, and even Zach Lowe of NBA, wherever Zach Lowe's from, has reported the Warriors, besides being frustrated by the suspension, which, you know, we'll delve into exactly why I think there's a little bit of nonsense there, but the fact, besides being frustrated...
Frustrating.
Yeah.
Frustrating.
I know.
It's frustrating. It's frustrating.
They felt the entire time that Sabonis was using his body as a weapon, and he was. Domantas Sabonis was definitely using his body as a weapon. First thing I'm going to bring you here. Watch this. This is the first one. This is somewhere in the second quarter. A lot of this stuff happened right one after another. So he gets the ball. He was doing, when I say he was doing the shoulder bump, elbow push, which the Warriors behind the scenes were bitching about a little bit here, I'm saying he was doing it almost every time. Stuff like this was happening almost every single time. So you see Sabonis doing the little screen handoff. They get it back to him. Look at that. Look at that. By the way, no foul called. No foul called either way. I understand physical play, but give me an effing break. Watch this again. Watch the way he just barrels into Looney, pushes off again to go get the loose ball, hits Jordan Poole, and oh, by the way, he's bitching. He is bitching. When I say that was one of 1,000 times, and I'm going to do it one more time, this happened all game for the last 2 games. Gets the ball, you want to, you know, and I understand doing a little bit, but he completely psychotically dips his shoulder. He's shoving off like he's Shaq on meth in 2001. Look at this. That's a no call. That's a no call. There's nothing to be seen there. There's no extra contact. There's no using.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I got more. I mean, I don't want people to think I'm just making this up here. And I don't know why other analysts didn't say, you know what? Domantas was really setting a tone physically that was probably going to get responded to by somebody on the team. And the fact that it's Draymond should be a shock to no one. But there's one. I got another one here. This is going for a loose ball, going for a rebound, ripping on Green's arm. You know, he gets rewarded with the foul. That little stuff like that was happening over and over. We're fighting for rebounds or whatever. He's grabbing, he's yanking, he's pulling, and he's not getting any whistles thrown his way. And so I'll show you that one more time. This is, again, so the push-offs were really my problem, the dipping the shoulder. But even stuff like this was happening left and right all night, and somehow he continued to get rewarded. And the worst one after this, and showing again the lack of, I don't have any sympathy for this guy, was later in the game, in the same quarter, by the way. This is almost in like a 5-minute span, and it's just a microcosm of everything that was happening. So then he gets for a rebound in a fight with Steph Curry, and this douchebag has the nerve to actually basically blame Steph when he went out of his way to slap him in the face. Look at this. I mean, just slap Steph with a double slap in the face, and he has the nerve to be complaining about the fact that his jaw hurt. Look at this dude. Oh my God. Watch that again. Tell me in any way, shape, or form if that was a natural basketball play. Does anyone see a natural basketball play in what he just did? Fighting for the rebound. Yeah. He just happened. As much as we're all bitching about how Draymond Green, did he really need to use that extra step and do all this other stuff? Did Domantas Sabonis really need to extend both hands and slap Steph Curry with both hands in the face like that, hits him in the eye, and then afterwards has the nerve to be like, oh, I'm the victim, my joke? Really? Even after the game, as classy as he usually was in most of this, he continued to basically say, oh, Steph was Let's listen to him after the game.
I love the competition. I love the playoffs, the challenge on taking on the Warriors. I got hit earlier in the game in the jaw there, so when I fell, I was kind of protecting myself, and then obviously the incident happened, and I feel like there's no room for that in our game today.
Oh, he got hit in the jaw, and that's why he had to grab Draymond's ankle. It's not his fault.
It's not your fault.
He did nothing wrong in this play, and I'm going to show it to you one more time. This was nothing. There's no room for Steph Curry to sit there and get hit in the face the way he got hit in the face. That's the story we're going to go with. There's no room in the game for anyone to stand in front of him and try to play defense as he dips his shoulder, all the way in, extends his arm all the way out, is pushing every time, jumping over, hitting Jordan Poole in the back of the head with his knee. There's no room in the game for Jordan Poole to dive for that loose ball. There's no room in the game for Kevon Looney to just try to stand in front of him. It's not his fault.
Look at me, son. It's not your fault.
In the words of the Stone Cold video we saw, what? I got both extended. Give me a freaking break. So the fact that Domantas is hurt, when I say I don't care, I don't care. The fact that he might be out tonight, I don't care.
He doesn't care. I don't care.
Kiss my ass, Kings fans. Kiss my ass. Kiss my ass. I really don't know how this got so missed. I really don't know how, in all the discussion about what happened, that we didn't get into the fact that, dude, Sabonis, Demonic Sabonis, as I've now renamed him, the entire time was just, looking to be physical, and that's great, and that's actually what you should do. But there's only a certain amount of time before something finally catches up and the other team decides to hit you back a little bit, and especially when you start yanking on a guy's foot because there was just, I was just playing. This is this is almost reminiscent of like when a rapper or someone gets in trouble, or an athlete or whatever, and suddenly they come out and they're like, well, I was just usually in my Bible study we like to say that judge lest not ye be judged, or just whatever, and they start really kind of trying to play it up. This post-game nonsense, if y'all are buying it, this whole I just like to play physical and I just think that there's no room in the game. Stop it. Stop it. I watched these games. I saw what happened. And even JJ Redick, who is not, and a great analyst, by the way, but he is not in any way, shape, or form someone who is very pro-Golden State. He's not like Stephen A., who, is predicted from the beginning the Warriors are going to win the whole thing, and kind of having a confirmation bias because he's defending his opinion. In no way, shape, or form is he one of these people. And even he has pointed out the insane lack of ability for Golden State to even have a kind of fair shot in the first couple games. As far as they set the tone in Sacramento physically, but they also got away with a lot of stuff. They really did. And I'll tell you what JJ said.
And I read.
He said, quote, I have no problem with physical play in the playoffs. But if Steph Curry is not allowed to move off the ball, if you are preventing players from running down the court and you're allowing that to happen, there's a play late in Game 2 where Kevon Looney is right under the rim and ready for a rebound. Sabonis crashes in, pushes him in the back, and they don't call the foul. That's a foul. The referees have dictated too much in the Kings' favor this series, and I really believe that. I don't know if it's the home crowd or whatever. I rarely complain about the referees, and in fact, I don't know if I've ever complained about the referees. I think that they are great. But if they are going to come back in this series, they have got to call the game the way the game is supposed to be called. I really believe that. I mean, there you go. JJ is one of the only decent analysts on the entire television circuit that you have out there of so-called analysts. He's at least seen what a lot of us were seeing. And yes, I'm a Warriors fan, and yes, I have a lot of love for what they do, but at the same time, I have been from the beginning. If in case you don't need to go back and check my history, I have been bitching, and I still think a lot of this is the Warriors' fault. The fact is they've been too small all year. They didn't address it. They've been too sloppy with their turnovers. Their road record is abysmal. It's a joke. I'll re-explain just how bad their road record was this year that they ignored. So the fact that they're down 0-2 on the road, there's a lot to be said about why Sacramento is up 2-0. That is more than just some of the physical play that is being ignored or some of the foul calls that maybe should be going the other direction. But the fact is, and I'll just go to the stats.
And I read.
The Golden State Warriors have been, in the first two games where they've lost, they've been out-rebounded offensively on the offensive boards, 29-18. They've been outscored in the paint, 114-84. So they have, between those two numbers, it's argued, and you can see it, they've been out physical, they've been beat up in the paint, they've been dealing with a lot of contact, yet they have 48 fouls called or 51 fouls called to Sacramento's 48. 51 foul called to Sacramento's 48. So Sacramento somehow is getting all the offensive rebounds, they're getting all the points in the paint, and they're able to outduel them physically. I'm able to show you clips like this, and somehow they still have less foul call total than Golden State does. I would love to hear someone's explanation on exactly why, other than maybe there has been
What does that do? Does that blow your mind?
a little bit of a leniency and a almost letting and a setting of tone. Now, Sacramento did do the smart thing of, like, you come out early and you set a tone physically that if the refs aren't going to do anything about it, continue to do it. But I'm with JJ, and again, quote, the referees have dictated too much in the Kings' favor this series, and he really believes that. And I believe it too. Now, as far as Draymond being suspended for Game 3, I'm torn on this because basically Joe Dumars is right. And it's interesting that Joe Dumars, of all people, is now the head of the VP and head of basketball operations here that was in charge of the one-game suspension. In case you missed it, Draymond Green has been suspended for Game 3 tonight, and brought up the past history and everything that he's done. As a former bad boy Piston, it is an interesting, kind of like, really, dude, damn.
Damn, Daniel.
You're going to talk about history and setting a precedent with your previous actions for the reason that this suspension was upheld or put in for this game. But there's some truth to it. And, this time I want to and I will to a point defend Draymond in the fact that in this particular play, in the one that actually got him suspended in this series, and once again, a major game series-changing suspension, just like the 2016 NBA Finals when they were up 3-1. He got suspended for Game 5, and the whole thing went backwards the other direction.
Damn, Daniel.
They're down 0-2. If they don't win tonight, they're done. And once again, the so-called heart and soul of the team is out. He didn't deserve what he got this time. I'll even let Steph and Clay, as they were bitching about it, Clay was bitching more openly than Steph. But I agree with, even though I don't know how much I appreciate how they're handling it publicly, I do pretty much agree with the sentiments, being said.
What are you going to do when someone grabs your foot when you're running full speed? Like, that's fully grabs your foot and yanks on you. That's not cool, man. I'm not saying what Draymond did was right, but, like, can't just grab somebody's foot when they're taking off in a full sprint. That's not cool. I don't do that. Like, That's crazy.
I didn't see it happen live. I got a rebound and was headed down the other way. I know he grabbed his foot, and I don't know what you're supposed to do in that situation. He obviously finished the rest of the game, so I know he's a tough guy, but I'm sure he's going to be all right. But it's just a matter of, after that, we tied the game with whatever it was, 5 minutes left, 4 minutes left. So we still responded. You'd love to have Draymond out there, obviously, to finish a game just because of what he does for us. But yeah, I didn't think it was anything other than what they said it was, and hopefully move on to Game 3.
And the fact is, now for Game 3, you don't have Draymond. And I don't think and to Clay's point, I thought what Sabonis did was dirty. I thought Sabonis had been earning every second of that stomp, and that this was just a comeuppance eventually of him just being a just crazy chicken with no head, bull in a china shop, overly not just physical but throwing and flailing, and that eventually something was going to come back karmically in his direction. So I really don't feel anything for him. But the fact is, if you're Draymond Green, this is douchebag tax. It's exactly what this is.
Douchebag says what?
You have been a douchebag for so long, and this is what happens so many times. So many times in life, you will see this happen. It'll never be, people that are listening now know that I've been sober for a while. You hear this story a lot of people that, would drink and drive and just act crazy and do all sorts of stuff. And finally, the DUI that got them caught will be a story of something like, I was actually going to pull over for once and try to take a nap. And the next thing you know, the cops pull me over, and because my keys are in the ignition, apparently state law says that I'm still technically driving. Anyway, some sob story or some I was 2 blocks away from home and I only drove half a mile anyways. I think in life a lot of people know this. It seems like a lot of times when you finally get caught or punished for a line that you continually crossed, that eventually the one that gets you is usually not by far the worst one, and if anything seems like, oh, well, now it seems unfair because, this time it wasn't even my fault. This time I actually have a way to defend myself, and Draymond has the same argument.
Look at me, son. It's not your fault.
But they're right. You've been a douchebag and a thorn in everyone's side, and you have set a precedent of pulling crap for so long. As much as I defend what you did and why you did it, and I don't think you should have been suspended, it's too much, man. And this is what's Golden State's problem has been, and I will repeat this. I've said this from the beginning of doing this, and from the beginning of the season. I saw all this coming.
You're psychic. You can predict the future.
The fact is, and there's a quote you need to hear, what happens in the past is the past, but don't be surprised if it comes back to haunt you. What happens in the past is the past, but don't be surprised if the past comes back to haunt you. For 82 games, y'all have been sloppy. You have been cocky. You have ignored major issues, not just in the fact that you were too small and you had to trade your 7-footer away just to get the guy back that you should have kept in Gary Payton, and now you're getting bully inside and you have Kevon Looney and basically no one behind him to back it up. Not to mention all year you have been a turnover-laden team to the point it has constantly been highlighted by your own announce crew, the Golden State announce crew that announces the home games. Almost every key to the game to start it off will say the turnovers are key, and you started turning the ball over in the playoffs because you set an 82-game precedent of doing it. The idea that your road record, which was so unbelievably bad, I don't think people really still understand just how bad a defending champion having a road record of 11-30 really is. It is insane.
What does that do? Does that blow your mind?
The only teams that had a worse road record then the Golden State Warriors were the Philadelphia Warriors back in 56, 57. Don't know much about that. The only other team that had a worst road record as a defending champion were the 98-99 Chicago Bulls. They were 5-20, and that's because that was the season The Last Dance ended, and they lost Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Phil Jackson, and Dennis Rodman in that offseason. That is the only team in the shot clock era that had a worse road record than Golden State. Did Golden State lose Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Steve Kerr? No. They lost Otto Porter, Belinka, and Gary Payton for a little bit and some injuries in between. The only team that was worse than you on the road ever in the shot clock era was the team that lost Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, Phil Jackson, and you didn't think it was a concern. The only other team, by the way, that was above you, that was barely above you, was the 69-70 Boston Celtics as the only other team of anything past 69 and on. They were 13-27. They had a slightly better, and that's even worse. They had a slightly better road record than you. They were the 5th worst defending champion road record of all time, and they lost Bill Russell.
What does that do? Did that blow your mind?
So the only other teams that of anything past like the 1960s and on that had a worse road record than you are anywhere in comparison either lost Bill Russell or Michael Jordan. The Golden State Warriors had the exact same team, and they ignored it. All year, they were cocky as hell. Draymond Green pulling this nonsense. Don't let us win. As you just eked into the 6th seed.
And by the way, before we get out of here, you see it. Don't let us win another championship. Peace.
Don't let you're not going to let yourself, douchebag.
Douchebag says what?
See, now I'm back to not defending Draymond because it's so stupid to listen to. This guy, as much as he was right about, in this situation, the guy pulled my ankle and I really couldn't do much about it. You are the same person who's had 163 technical fouls. You're the same person who's had 17 ejections in your career and 4 suspensions. In case people kind of forget because they think it's just the 2016 finals that happened with Draymond.
Let me enlighten you about your new friend here, about what he's really like.
And the over-the-top actions that the Joe Dumars and NBA management was discussing when they laid down the suspension that pretty much puts Golden State in a giant hole. Of course, there was the 2016 one where he was accumulated and suspended for too many flagrant fouls because he kicks LeBron James in the groin in Game 4 of that finals, gets suspended for Game 5. Earlier in the same playoffs, just happened to kick Steven Adams in the groin. Of course, neither one of those he did on purpose.
He kicked him in the ding-ding.
But that's just what it was. He was also ejected last year, if you remember, against the Grizzlies for a hard foul on Brandon Clark and flipping off the fans. He's also been suspended in 2018 for a one-game, quote, conduct detrimental to the team incident where he got in a fight with Kevin Durant, which eventually led to Kevin Durant leaving the Golden State Warriors. They've even admitted as much, and he was suspended for that. He had to take time off this offseason, but wasn't suspended after he thought it would be a good idea to punch Jordan Poole in the face during practice. So suspended in the 2016 finals for not once but twice kicking people in the groin.
He kicked him in the ding-ding.
It's the same guy who just last year got suspended for smashing on Brandon Clark and flipping off the fans and agitating people. This is the same guy who eventually got Kevin Durant out of Golden State and was the same person who they had to suspend for, quote, conduct detrimental to the team for getting into an argument with the best player on the team. This is the same guy who punched Jordan Poole in this offseason and made the whole narrative and the whole season come off to a bad start. Do you hear what I am telling you? I don't really feel that bad for you, Dre. I just don't. I feel bad for the Warriors, even though they enabled. I think what you do, though, as much as I don't think what you did was wrong this time, I think what you've done over your career has caught up to you. The past is in the past, but don't be surprised when it comes back to haunt you. Golden State, don't be surprised when you have such an abysmal road record that you're down to a team you shouldn't be down to 0-2. Don't be surprised that Draymond Green isn't there for you tonight. Don't be surprised if they continue to beat you up inside and in the paint, and if the refs don't do what they, maybe the refs are tired of you too. I mean, honestly, refs are human. Maybe they're also going to let things be physical, and now you don't have anyone to respond in the nature that you should be able to respond. Is what you send a big 7-footer in to say, you know what, next time Sabonis does his elbow and stuff, you're going to put him on his ass. You know, you don't have anyone in the reserve for it because you've thought small ball is the greatest thing in the world and that you had no reason to get away from it. You've thought all year that your turnovers, to the point of when you had 11 in the first quarter of Game 2 on your way to a 44 turnover game, a 44 turnover game, which I believe would be NBA history. When asked about it, Steve Kerr says during the first quarter interview, I'm not concerned about the 11 turnovers. I'm just glad we're playing good defense.
Really?
Chickens come home to roost, man. Chickens come home to roost. All right, I'm done with that for now. Let's see if Golden State... Now, all this being said, all Golden State has to do is hold home court, and suddenly we have a new series. Sacramento doesn't play as loose as they are. Let's see if they can get through everything. Steph Curry, it's on you, dog. It really is. As much as I love Steph Curry, in the end, this stuff really comes down to the superstars. It really, really does. A lot of this stuff just comes down to superstars being superstars. Steph Curry, it is your job to pull them out of this. You need a big game tonight. Kuminga would hopefully help. But in the end, just got to do your thing, man. Money players make money plays.
Money.
Which leads me to the other thing that I have to discuss. It's the LA Lakers, Memphis Grizzlies. And, I mean, good for the Grizzlies.
Oh, good for you.
Even the series 1-1 here. But by far and away, the story has to be LeBron James and his usual typical response to Dillon Brooks. Now, I am rooting for LeBron James to finally become the demon that he needs to be, that he will finally become the animal that he should be in this situation. I don't get why everyone thinks it's great. He's so passive.
I don't get it. I get it.
But in case you missed it, if you haven't been able to follow sports the last day or so, Memphis was able to even the series 1-1 and last night, and Dillon Brooks was just talking mad-ish during, before, after, calling out the so-called king, LeBron James, getting in his face while he was doing it. And here's from the game last night.
LeBron James had something to say.
Well, he said, take all 2 of these right here for talking a lot. They said, I'm going to give you some more, and it's going to be fun to watch.
Scored a whole 12 points. Dillon Brooks was doing that. Later, he's doing this.
Initially on this hit, or you'll see it in a moment, after the stare down by Brooks, and LeBron just wouldn't return the favor.
Yeah, but
I mean, getting in his face. I mean, look at this dude. The balls. The absolute balls, if this is the GOAT to do
Initially on this hit, or you'll see it in a moment, after the stare down by Brooks, and LeBron just wouldn't return the favor.
Yeah, but I think...
And, I mean, good for Memphis for being able to pull off a victory at home without Ja Morant, who is out with that hand injury.
Oh, good for you.
I mean, looking, at the series, if they would have got up 2-0 like they should have, the LA Lakers have a perfect road to a possible one of the greatest, runs for a 7th seed in NBA history, maybe even winning or at least competing for an NBA championship, which would put him at a certain status in that LeBron James. If they would have got 2-0, their 92% chance to win, especially teams that win 2-0 on the road, it's like 95% or even maybe higher that you don't lose that series. And LeBron is 24-0 when he is able to get up 2-0 in a series, and they found a way to just let it slip from their fingers. So,
what does that do? Did that blow your mind?
But the fact that Dillon Brooks is barking so loud, and I've heard Windhorst and I've heard others try to say it's a trap. They're trying to get LeBron and bait him into, becoming too aggressive, which would take away from Anthony Davis. And this is just, just like Lance Stevenson, this isn't a big deal. Not only is Dillon Brooks the same guy who said before this, we want LeBron, and I think it'd be a good first round out. What he said after the game in his douchebag glasses and giant. He's got his chain with his own initials on it. I mean, he is just, Dillon Brooks is by far, it's funny, DB.
Douchebag says what?
It fits. He is the biggest douchebag, arguably in the NBA, maybe ever. Like, this dude is taking the cake of just being an absolute heel douchebag asswipe that you want to see, to the point that even I want to see LeBron, who I never really enjoy watching win, if and when he does, which has been too rare overall in his career, in my opinion. But even I want LeBron to shut this dude up.
Douchebag says what?
I mean, if you're the king, right? You're the GOAT. This, after the game, what Dillon Brooks said is bananas. Listen to this, is bananas.
And when they started making a run.
There are some people, the Lakers are making that run, they get it to 14. You and LeBron have that exchange. There are people out there that say maybe you shouldn't do that with one of the better players in the game. What were you thinking?
I don't care. He's old. You know what I mean? I was waiting for that. I was expecting him to do that game 4, game 5. He wanted to say something when I got my 4th foul. He should have been saying that earlier on. But, I poke bears. I don't respect no one until they come and give me 40. I pride myself on, what I do is defense and taking on any challenge that's on the.
I mean, he's too old. I don't respect people. And by the way, Dillon Brooks has no business. Barely, wouldn't start on most teams. I mean, a role player at best. Saying this in this outfit.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
I mean, the fact that Dillon Brooks is doing this is so outlandish, and just everything about him, again, is just douchebaggery to a new level.
Douchebag says what?
What?
This still, though, I got LeBron. And even in the game last night, y'all can say what you want. You can defend your king, and you can say everything you want to do. And I am rooting. I really want, because this next 2 games go back to Los Angeles, I want to see LeBron just destroy Dillon Brooks and let him know the whole time, just like if they were in prison and Dillon stole his commissary, I would love to see LeBron just make an absolute example out of Dillon Brooks, which he has by far and away all the talent and all of the ability to do. LeBron James should be able to make Dillon Brooks his prison bitch. He really should be able to do it. Is he going to? And that is where I'm stuck as far as, I mean, we get into these stupid GOAT conversations, and I'll even admit,
here we go again.
They happen too much, and they get really annoying. But I will tell you this, never in a million years, as we continue the same stupid conversation, somebody find me a quote ever in the history of everdom where anywhere in Michael Jordan's 6 titles, 6-0, by the way.
It's the only argument I need, Sean!
Which, famously in that movie.
It's the only argument I need, Sean!
In his 6-0 title run, or any time when he was with the Chicago Bulls, you let me know and find me a video after he became considered one of the best players in the NBA, a role player on a small, hasn't done much team yet, in their glasses with the gold chain saying, Michael Jordan's old, I can't wait to play him in the first round. He doesn't get my respect. Michael doesn't get my respect until he drops 40. I mean, listen, let me know anyone who's ever said stuff like this about MJ.
And when they started making a run.
There are some people, the Lakers are making that run, they get it to 14. You and LeBron have that exchange. There are people out there that say maybe you shouldn't do that with one of the better players in the game. What were you thinking?
I don't care. He's old. You know what I mean? I was waiting for that. I was expecting him to do that game 4, game 5. He wanted to say something when I got my 4th foul. He should have been saying that earlier on. But, I poke bears. I don't respect no one until they come and give me 40.
Ever Find me the quote. Find me where someone said, I love poking Michael Jordan. I can't wait to play Michael Jordan. I think he's too old. I think we're going to kick his ass.
Don't worry, I'll wait.
Let me know.
Don't worry, I'll wait.
Someone, underneath onto YouTube or whatever, where I have the channel, go to Tricky Guy Sports. Just YouTube that, subscribe, and make sure to comment below if you're listening. I'll wait. I will wait for someone to point this out to me. There's something to be said about there is just a time. And right now, in both Golden State and in Los Angeles, as they both go back respectively to do what they're supposed to do, which is supposedly be Hall of Famers and championship contenders, there is a time when it's time to bring out the Lion. And I have yet to see either one bring out the Lion. It is time to remind mother effers how you get down. And I don't know how else to explain this. I had brought it up before, and I'm just going to play it. Pool Hall Junkies, 2002. Christopher Walken, who, by the way, I famously said, I could watch Christopher Walken read a dictionary. His cadence, his timing is just, I could see it. I could see Christopher Walken doing 3 hours of just reading from the dictionary, and I would be riveted. I'm going to start off with Advok. Double A, it's a noun. Anyways, this is what I'm talking about. In case you don't really get what I'm saying, there's a scene in this movie when he's explaining to a young kid who's starting to get a little flustered, he's getting challenged, what happens to people when they mess with the supposed kings of the jungle, when you mess with the lion, the king of the jungle, with his mane out to here, as Walken would say. This speech basically sums up exactly what I'm trying to say as far as what both Golden State and LeBron should and need to do.
Huge mane out there. He's laying down under a tree in the middle of Africa. He's so big. He's so hot. He doesn't want to move. Now, the little lion comes. They start messing with him. Biting his tail, biting his ears. He doesn't do anything. The lioness, she starts messing with him, coming over, making trouble. Still, nothing. Now, the other animals, they notice this, and they start to move in. The jackals, hyenas, they're barking at him, laughing at him. They nip his toes and eat the food that's in his domain. They do this, and they get closer and closer and bolder, till one day, that lion gets up and tears the shit out of everybody, runs like the wind, eats everything in his path. Because every once in a while, the lion has to show the jackals who he is.
Goosebumps. Where is the lion? Bring out the lion. Dillon Brooks, you're going to let Dillon... I don't give a damn. I don't want to hear any of this nonsense. Oh, well, it's a trap, and he's doing this, and he's letting... we don't want him to get... He's such a strong mental... Stop it. He is being called out by basically a half-ass scrub who had 12 points and is acting like he was the most important player of the game, calling you old, saying that, we wanted you first round. I would love for anyone to find it. Find me where Michael Jordan has ever been close to called out like this, and if he ever was, when did he ever not go, oh, really?
Don't worry, I'll wait.
You want me? You wanted this smoke and didn't give them every second of that work on his way to, by the way, never losing an NBA Finals.
It's the only argument I need, Sean.
Let me know when that happened, and you can tell me that LeBron James doesn't need to set a precedent here. I don't give a damn if he's 38 or not. The fact is he can still be the best player on the floor any given night at any given time and has all the ability to do it. If he doesn't shut Dillon Brooks up, I really, really want you guys to just stop it. You never will. And I actually want for once to see LeBron do this, even though it'll hurt as far as putting the comparison of the two, because, again, it drives me nuts. I don't think you really have any argument here.
There we go again.
But I will say, even in this situation, I would rather see Dillon Brooks get shut up in a Schindler's Listy kind of Sophie's Choice, What's the movie with the boxing, the $1 Million Baby? No decision's a good decision here. I would rather see LeBron get his comeuppance against Dillon for just running his mouth recklessly as Memphis has all year. I'd rather still see that than Dillon continue to be able to wear his stupid sunglasses and come out and say LeBron's too old. I don't respect you unless you drop 40. I would love to see the Lion version of LeBron James, kick the snot out of them for 3 more games, shut them up, and let us be able to move on to the next round. I would absolutely love to see it. I don't think I'm going to. To be honest, it'll probably come down more to guys like Reeves and Davis and others stepping up. But if I'm his teammates, if I'm the Lakers' teammates, it sucks that we have to, but being like, LeBron, dude, you're going to make a point. Game 3, you're going to make a point. You're going to do something about this guy and shut him up. The fact is, in Game 2, not only did they lose, but LeBron James only made 6 shots in the second half. All of them were within 8 feet. 5 of 6 were layups. He didn't do anything other than make a few layups in the second half as this dude was in his face barking at him. Please let me know when Michael Jordan got barked at like this and did these and has responded in the same way.
Don't worry, I'll wait.
You know what? I'll move on. I don't even want to wait. I'll leave it alone because you're not going to give me the answer because there's not an answer to be had. Lord. It's the main things I wanted to discuss. It is 420. I thought that was interesting. It's 420 today as everyone celebrates the weed holiday, which I think is a little bit silly, but hey.
I love weed, okay? I love it.
Let me do a few extras here, and then I will call it a day. The one that you have to see is going to be here in a second. Inside the NBA, Charles Barkley and Shaq was absolutely hilarious. But let's end it, as always, with some videos.
You seen it? You seen it?
Don't look at me. Don't look at me, little puppet.
Have you seen this? Have you read about this?
This is always my palate cleanser, a way to kind of leave in a good mood if I get a little too ramped up about things going on. Like I said, it is 420. And so shout out to all the potheads still out there. I used to be quite the burnout myself for a very long time.
I love weed, okay? I love it.
And a lot of NBA guys are, including someone who is in an interesting little series, Kevin Durant, recently did an interview and just flat out admitted it. It's like, yeah, I smoke weed. I do it all the time. I believe he's with David Letterman in this one.
To me, it clears the distractions out your brain a little bit, settles you down. It's like having a glass of wine.
Yeah. So did you smoke today?
Yeah.
And you're just fine?
I'm actually high right now.
I love weed, okay? I love it.
Works for him, I guess. Good for you, buddy. Good for you. So hopefully he won't be too high for the rest of this series. They do have a little bit of a back and forth going on in the Clippers. If Paul George was healthy, I think we'd have a real series. I really do. I still think Phoenix wins it pretty much outright. And they are too top-heavy. I told y'all that. I done told y'all that. I did say that's going to be Phoenix's downfall if they don't pull this thing off.
See, I done told you.
I looked at the minutes. You have only one guy coming off the bench averaging more than 20 on average. A 6-man rotation is not going to work, especially with Chris Paul and other guys, and even Kevin Durant, who have a history of their bodies wearing down. You can't play them 40 minutes like the way you are all the way through the NBA Finals, in my opinion. So, I mean, I'm pretty good at this.
I am the smartest man alive!
I think that's going to continue to be an issue, but no one is having currently more of an issue as far as a NBA player that is, in a nice playoff chase. No one is having a bigger issue than my man Derek White. Oh. And you know what sucks about this? Because if you look, my hair is still there a little, it's hanging on. But I mean, I'm 42. I'm getting older, dog. The hairline thing is something that most men, we all know and deal with. But what Inside the NBA did, I was watching this as it happened. I'm so glad that someone made sure to clip this and put it out. Because I was with someone else, and I'm laughing, and I'm quoting the same thing Shaq was quoting. They cut to you'll just have to see it. This is just brutal. This is Charles and Shaq being Charles and Shaq. They're trying to talk about Derek had like 26 points. Boston gets up 2-0. They look great. And instead, I was right with them. When I say I was right with them when they showed the picture of Derek and then what they just check it out.
26 points in this one, 11 out of 16 from the floor, 2 out of 5.
Yes, sir. Captain Ernest, sir. Is that Derek White or Stephen A? Damn, Derek. We love you, Stephen A.
I join you in the head shake.
Yes, sir. Damn, Stephen A. Stephen A. played for the Celtics. He do first take in the morning and play for the Celtics.
Guys averaging 25 points a game in the series.
25 a game.
And here these guys going like this.
That's talking about Isaac. Yeah. But you know what the crazy part about that is?
Yeah, he combed it like that. That's the crazy part about it.
The crazy part about Derek White's game is
that could be Malcolm Brogdon.
That could be what?
Malcolm Brogdon doing the same exact thing that he's done. Like, they have two guys that have the same advantage as these two guys.
You'll never find a hairline like that.
I watched this live, and when they saw the video, I swear on everything on the lives of everyone I've ever known and loved, before even Shaq was doing it, I was doing the same thing. Unfortunately, the person I was with didn't understand the reference, and I was like, oh, that's from a movie, Ice Cube's a bounty hunter, Mike Epps, and he rips on this poor guy for having a huge hairline. And I've had these sounders for years.
You will never find, blom, 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 a hairline like mine.
I mean, so that was the one Shaq was doing. And I mean, Derek White does have a big ass forehead.
You ain't got a 4 head, you got a 5 head.
I mean, all of these are just.
That big ass head. Look at your hairline.
That hairline is rough. That was the first thing I thought when I saw it too. I was like, that hairline of what they showed with Derek White from the Celtics was rough. They weren't done, by the way.
Hey, man, y'all act like y'all didn't notice that.
I get what you're saying, Kenny.
Y'all act like y'all have never seen Derek White ever in your life.
Yeah, I never seen it like that.
He looks like that.
He's never seen it. He always has a headband on. Oh, Lord.
Derek White, you're a great player.
Yeah, and you've had a heck of a series so far. Continued good luck to you.
Yeah, continued good luck.
It's late at night. They have nothing else to do, man. All right. They have nothing else to do but watch you get 25 a night.
We'll see you. We'll see you and your forehead up in the Eastern Conference Finals. We're going to the Eastern Conference Finals, are we?
Oh, my God.
We get to see that in person.
Come on, man.
Oh, Lord.
Man, the bookends here tonight.
Oh,
a little out of control. All right,
anytime he see you, he's going to laugh at you, Happy. Nobody, we don't laugh every time.
Don't be mad.
Leave the guy alone.
Don't be mad, D. White.
Leave him alone.
D. White, we're just joking around, man.
They even have, like I said, if you've seen that movie, you know these. You ain't got a 4 head, you got a 5 head.
You ain't got a 4 head, you got a 5 head.
You'll never find.
Blom, 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 a hairline like mine.
I mean, it's one of the funniest things ever that Mike Epps is. I mean, I include the Friday movies.
I bet when you have dreams, you don't have dreams, you have movies.
And when he's doing like, you don't salute way here, you salute way back here like this. I mean, it is. And I mean, I have. It's not like I just have a glowing mane, not like Keanu Reeves in my 40s. I still have some left, but you know. It is what it is. It is what it is. Life is a cruel, twisted witch sometimes, and sometimes you have to fight back. I would love to come back tomorrow and say that Golden State and the Lakers are going to fight back, but I don't know. Just like Derek's hairline, I don't know where this thing is going to go. I don't know where things are going to end up. But we'll talk about it, and I hope you'll listen. Talk to you next time.